Howdy, everyone. All right, so we're back. Again, like I've said many times, plugging away on the avionics. I thought 3 weeks ago when I made my last video, I figured I would be done by now. 3 weeks prior to that, I thought I would be done by now. 3 weeks prior to that, you know how it goes, right? But I am happy to say that I am now on the very trailing edge of having this panel wrapped up as far as the wiring goes. I have all my components in for the most part. I'll explain that in a minute. And I have all the wiring done for the most part. It's just little things like I have my, come over here. This is my Dynon D3. It's obviously it's a handheld pocket EFIS, and this is the GPS antenna for it. It's a complete standalone unit. They're battery powered. There isn't a way to. I'm sure there's a way, but it's not built to be hardwired into anything. This is going to get mounted to the panel. That's going to get mounted. I've talked about this before, but it's going to get mounted right here in this open area here. And then this hole is for the charge wire to go through, or I'm sorry, the GPS antenna wire. So the antenna plugs into the side of the unit, and then the cable will pass through here, and then I'll route it up onto the glare shield. So that's just going to be held on, I'm assuming, with Velcro. I haven't thought it through yet, but that will probably be Velcroed in place. All of the other components are in, all the switches are in, everything is wired except for two switches. The wiring is actually in, but the switches are giving me a little bit of an anomaly that I have to work through. And I think I already have a solution, and it's very simple. But I can talk about that in a later video. So the only thing that I need to do is I need to route this GPS cable here, the GPS antenna for my GPS unit. This needs to be run again, just like the antenna for the pocket EFIS. Those two antennas need to be routed so that they can sit on top of the glare shield. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I'm not there yet. I may put that off until later. I may not worry about those two cable runs until after I have the canopy back in place, or maybe I'll put the canopy in place just to do those runs. I don't know yet. Other than that, it would just be a matter of stripping the panel, removing it, doing what I need to do to get it painted, and then labeling everything. And then I'll be done. So I'm really close. I'm at the very trailing edge of having this completely wrapped up. So while I'm trying to figure out what to do with those switches, the couple that I just mentioned, I do still need to run an antenna cable for my comm antenna. And I still need to install the antenna itself. So I'm going to move on to that. I want to get the comm antenna installed so I can run the cable for that antenna and get that in place back here behind the on the sub panel behind the main panel. I want to get that cable run and affixed, so that will be done. Over there, right here, you can see my glove box, and I've got the wires coming out of it. That's all done. That will get slid into place and riveted to the main panel, the front panel. And then in the future, if I ever need to take the panel off for whatever reason, those wires can be easily disconnected, because at that point this will be riveted. So this will have to come out as a unit. So those wires have all been run. Like I said, all my switches are in and they work appropriately. My dimmers work, my interior lights work, my cargo lights work. So just about finished. I can't believe it. So like I said, in the meantime, I'm going to move on to the comm antenna. So the first thing that I did was choose a location, and I decided to mount it between the pass-through spar, so it's called, for the wings. dead center, so I don't know if this will show, but if you look between the spars, between the two wires that pass through the spar, there's a hole down there between those two. I think that's the hole right there. Personal choice, right? You put it anywhere that makes sense. There are some requirements as far as having your comm antenna spaced away from other antennas. So that location works for me, and it's a very robust location. That particular location is double skinned. You've got the front skin and the center skin overlap, so it's already double thickness skin, and it's supported by both spars. Those skins are riveted on both of these underneath. So that's a great location. You probably don't even need a doubler for that, given that where it's situated. So very happy with that. And it meets the requirements for spacing from other antennas. So that was my choice to put it there. Moving on to the antenna itself, it is a very simple eBay purchase. It's a very simple Comm bent whip antenna. It really isn't anything more than, I believe it's a piece of stainless that's, I think this is equivalent to a number 10 screw, a 1032 screw diameter, and it tapers all the way down almost to a point. It is a very gradual taper, bent at some location, and that's about it. Very simple. But it does, however, include these ceramic insulators. I don't know if this is something that you can readily purchase, but I have these, and I have the cable, and I have the various washers, nuts, and bolts. So they're almost, I don't know what they are exactly, the material, but there are some washers that are non-conductive. I think it's these four. These four here are non-conductive washers. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure what the material is. But you can see, especially this one is shot, and they're all kind of crusty. So I've made some new ones. I've got them here. I've got some smaller ones here, and I've got the larger ones here. I made spares just in case. New nuts, washers, and stuff, all stainless. And then I made up some larger aluminum washers. These are, I think these are 0.063 thickness. These are kind of sort of like my doubler, if you will. I'm only going to use one, but again, I made a spare. And I'll show you how these fit in when I actually do the installation. The installation is going to be temporary because the location of this antenna that I just showed you is exactly where I use my wood box. I try to keep my wood support underneath the double spar, or the spar that runs across. But to actually work on the antenna, I had to move that back. So once I get the antenna in and I get the cable run, I'm going to take the antenna right back out, and then I'm going to move the box back where it was. So when I get to that point, when I do the initial install, I'll go over how all this fits together. But the antenna is ready to go. The insulators are ready to go. I have the cable made up. I have to put the terminals on the end. So this cable here with the red shrink wrap is the positive, and the unmarked wire is the ground. These have to have these terminal ends put on them. Once I get those terminal ends put on, then I can go ahead and attach the cable to the antenna. I have a diagram here on my laptop that shows the layout for the antenna. I don't know how well this will show up, but you can see that here is the antenna itself, and then you've got your various washers and nuts and things of that nature going all the way down. And I believe I have everything. So on here, they just call those non-conductive washers, they call it a fiber gasket. It's basically just a non-conductive flat washer. So this is the layout I'll be using. And like I said, I've got everything ready to go. So that's going to be my next step. I've got the hole drilled, I've got the hardware in place. It's just a matter of doing the physical installation and then trying to figure out how I'm going to run this thing. So my initial thought is obviously to have the antenna in down here. I'm going to run the cable over, pass it through the spar, through one of the existing holes, and then I guess like my other cables, which I don't know, you can kind of see them running here. I guess I'll just follow those. I'll attach this antenna cable to that wire bundle, run it up, and then it will come up this bulkhead here, and then when it gets up to the sub panel, I'm not sure, this is where I'm not sure how to do it, but I'm going to cross from the sub panel. It has to make its way over to this connection right here. So like I said, that's what I need to work out. That's probably going to be the most tedious part, is trying to figure out how to run that cable. It's got to stay clear of my glove box. That's going to be in here, but this is the attach point. And then I believe I talked about it before. This is the cable here from the actual comm radio itself, and it attaches to this fitting. And then I've got this connection here that connects to this fitting, and this is the fitting that will attach the cable that goes around to the actual antenna. And I did it that way because I have a handheld radio. In an emergency, if I need to, I can pull this out and I can connect my comm radio into this port, which will connect it to the aircraft antenna. That's the only reason for this, and it's hanging out the bottom here because it needs to be accessible. In an emergency, I don't want to have to try to feel around, hidden somewhere to try to disconnect stuff and plug in my my handheld radio. So I have this out in the open, and it's very easy just to pull this out of the way, and I can plug my comm radio right here. I'll have another short length, probably a 3-4 foot length of coax cable that I'll keep in the airplane. And if I need to, like I said, I'll just take that short cable, connect it to the radio, and then connect it into here, and that will drive the radio from the aircraft antenna. So that's the plan. And I'm just happy to be making a video. I know it's not the most exciting thing. I'm actually happy that it's not entirely strictly avionic instrument panel related, because I'm getting burned out on that. But at least it's something, right? So again, not the most exciting thing on the planet, but at least it's a video. All right, so let me get cranking on this stuff, and as always, if I do something worthy, I'll videotape it, and talk to you guys later.